What's up, everybody? I'm Jimmy King, and if you like this episode, comment, hit that like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button.
Today on Carcass, we pack our Drifting Trailblazer SS with some fresh ponies.
And we transform our plain black exterior into one that fits the bill.
You're watching Carcass.
When you want to build something different, you turn to Carcass. They transform cars and trucks into one-of-a-kind builds. From street to mud. If you dream it, they can build it. This is Carcass, a non-traditional speed shop.
The interior of our four-door drifting machine is nearly complete. Now, we started with a stock 2006 Trailblazer SS, stripping everything including the seats, the headliner, and even all the trim pieces, lightening the load by about 500 pounds.
Then we got straight to work on the roll cage, building it on top of plinth boxes so we could lower the cage and weld the top sections.
With our jungle gym in place, we threw in a quartet of racing seats that we picked up from Summit Racing, and even fabricated some mounts so it could sit level on our wonky floor.
We followed those up with a custom center console and a drifting handbrake that we plumbed to the rear brakes.
Now, I did say that our interior is nearly complete. Now, we're planning on converting this two-wheel drive automatic into a 6-speed manual, so we're gonna have to do some work inside the cab. But before we can get to that, we need to yank out this tired old 400 horsepower pony that nearly has 230,000 miles on it and replace it with a brand new 450 horsepower Clydesdale.
Our starter has arrived.
Oh yeah? Let's see it.
This is the Duralast Gold starter that comes with a lifetime warranty. It's engineered to provide the torque that we need to consistently start our Trailblazer, and it's built with proprietary components that are made to last.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, but why Duralast?
Well, for one thing, the Duralast brand got its start with reliable starters and alternators, so that's why we're going with a starter for a performance vehicle like our Trailblazer. But there's more than just starters and alternators. They also offer other stuff like brakes, chassis parts, and engine management parts that share the same Duralast reliability.
Well, I'm sold. What do you say we slap this thing on our engine and drop it in the Trailblazer?
Let's do it. With our new Duralast starter installed, this puppy is ready to go. But before it can even budge, this old worn-out engine has to go.
And to make things easier for ourselves, we're gonna remove the hood and set it aside, along with our American bow tie grill, because we plan to disassemble most of this front end. Yeah, there's not much holding that guy on there. Holy cow. I don't want to break it, but it's half broke already. Ooh, I got mine. You got yours? All right. This is like aftermarket.
Oh, no.
I don't know what that
no,
is.
these are OE fasteners, I think.
Right.
Cost you $74 from the dealer to replace them.
Everything in front of our engine has to go. This includes the trans cooler and the radiator. There.
It also calls for the fan, which we remove with a hefty wrench and a dead blow, allowing us to tackle the front accessory drive next.
You know, we got a couple more things to pull off the top, and then we'll go underneath.
Yeah, I think we get to the point where the intake's off and we'll be good.
With a few bolts here and a few hoses there, we'll have the intake free from the top of the engine, making plenty of room for us to pull this poor pony free.
But the engine isn't ready to come out yet. It's still attached to the exhaust. We need to remove the drive shaft, and we need to drop the automatic transmission because we won't be needing it anymore.
With our motor mounts loose, we can now yank out this washed up racehorse. All that legwork we put into prepping the front end, well, it's about to pay off, making easy work lifting this 400-pound engine free from its home. That's old and tired.
Yeah. But the work doesn't stop here. There are a few things we need to transfer over from the old engine onto the new engine that we got from PowerTrain Products. Things like the oil pan and pickup tube are removed and cleaned up before they're added to the bottom of our new power plant. Both these and the engine mounts are specific to our Trailblazer and will allow us to easily drop in our engine.
To finish prepping the engine for install, we'll have to throw in the coolant temp sensor and the oil pressure sensor, leaving us only one thing to do.
Giddy up, ponies.
Nay!
Oh, all right, dude.
Put her in, dude. Lower her down. Go down and then back some. All right, dude, we can back up like 3 inches, maybe. Keep going, keep going. Stop. And then go down. You go down quite a ways, actually. We're not crazy far off here. Wait, we got
caught on something.
Yeah, I think we're caught on that side. There it goes,
there you
right?
go. Yeah.
Down ski. A little more. I'm on this side. Our engine is set in place, but there's still a couple things we need to do, like swap over our headers, we need to bolt the intake down and hook up the exhaust.
We also have to install the alternator, clean up the wiring, and hook up the fuel system.
Well, what do you say we just knock that all out?
Let's do it.
We'll snug up our engine for starters, and then we'll slip in our headers from below and bolt them in up top.
We'll move to the intake next, bolting it down to the heads and connecting the fuel line.
The coil packs get added, bolting them in place and connecting them to the power source.
This is followed by a mess of wiring that we need to clean up. There are a lot of connections to be made, things like the injectors and the map sensor if I had to name a few.
With most of the wiring out of the way, we can tackle the front accessory drive. An alternator gets thrown into the mix and a final connection can be made. Hey Jimmy, come check this out. You know, I was walking down by the dock door and I saw that PowerTrain Products had sent in one of their front differentials for GM trucks and SUVs. Now the cool thing about this is that they do a really good job upgrading the OE parts inside of here that create common issues like noise and wear. Take this for instance, the upgraded parts they put inside of here help decrease bearing wear and pinion failure.
So they actually put new internals in these things.
Yeah, you know, I was doing a little research on this and it looks like PowerTrain Products installs new stub shafts and axle tubes with new bearings. And the best thing about this is this whole thing is backed by a 7-year warranty.
Well, it's too bad our Trailblazer is 2-wheel drive, otherwise we could use this in our build. Up next, we're shifting into high gear, adding a new trans and a few personalized goodies. With a brand new 450 horsepower engine sitting under the hood, our Trailblazer SS is taking on a new persona.
That's right, we'll soon be able to call this thing a drifting trailblazer with the thoroughbred we have up front. But before we get to that point, we need to saddle up this pony.
That means we need to install a transmission. Now we're not going to be using the stock transmission that the Trailblazer came with. We're opting for a Tremec Magnum 6-speed manual transmission from American Powertrain. Not only will this up the fun factor, but it'll help us maintain the RPM range that we want to operate in.
To make this install easier, we'll work on this vehicle when it's on the hoist. Jimmy and I will both tackle the clutch together because 4 hands are way better than 2.
We'll start by threading 2 bolts to secure the clutch pressure plate. Then feed in the provided clutch disc alignment pin.
With the pressure plate in alignment, we'll add the 4 remaining bolts, making sure to snug them up by hand. Then we'll torque them down in a crisscross pattern to 52 foot-pounds and make sure we remove the alignment pin when we're done.
In order to set up our clutch throwout bearing spacing, we need to install the bell housing and take a measurement. Using a square, we'll use the face of the bell housing for reference and measure to the fingers of the pressure plate with a caliper.
On the transmission, we'll use a square and set it on the throwout bearing, measuring the distance from the throwout bearing to where the transmission case would meet the bell housing. With those numbers in hand, we'll do a little math, and our goal is to have about 150 thousandths air gap.
To achieve this, we'll pop the throwout bearing off the shaft, and we'll need to add 5 90 thousandths shims. Then, we can slip the throwout bearing back on the shaft.
Our transmission is now ready to be installed, but before we can do that, we need to make some changes in the cab to make room for our shifter. And that all starts with a measurement on the transmission.
23 inches.
All right, 23.
Using the bell housing for reference again, we can mark the location on the underside of the vehicle and drill a pilot hole to reference the location on the other side.
In the cab, we'll unbolt and remove the old automatic shifter. And using the pilot hole we drilled from the bottom, we'll line up a 4-inch hole saw and plunge cut a giant hole through the transmission tunnel.
Think we can get it first try?
I don't know. Let's see if we can put all 6 of these speeds up there. Probably only use like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
If we're lucky.
This is a speed demon is what this is. Whoa,
There we go.
second gear. second gear.
I'm gonna go forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I guess that's it. And stop. Now we got a shifter it's gonna hit, so we're gonna have to really...
Installing the transmission is pretty straightforward. We need to marry the input shaft of the transmission with the clutch, carefully guiding this 135-pound beast into position.
Now it may be tempting to use the bolts to suck in the transmission, but you can cause a lot of damage if you do this prematurely. You should only use the bolts when the transmission meets the bell housing.
To finish up our installation, we'll use the stock crossmember and bushings, snugging everything up.
Now it's time to get started on our clutch pedal. To get it installed, we'll drill out 2 connecting 1.5-inch holes in the firewall, checking to make sure that the fittings clear the hole.
That's gonna work. Next, we'll drill a hole through the bracket we fabbed up and punch it through the floor. Then add the pedal, securing it to the bracket. We'll follow that up with the remote reservoir, which will mount in the cab and connect the hose to the master cylinder.
We'll make the final connection under the vehicle, attaching the clutch line.
The last thing we're gonna work on here is the shifter.
That should work.
We're fabbing up a custom handle bracket to make shifting convenient for the driver and to operate along with using the handbrake. With a few pieces of thick steel, we'll weld together an offset piece that will attach to the included handle bracket.
Back in the cab, we'll attach the new handle bracket to the shifter before we can figure out a solution for the handle.
This is the last piece.
What's that?
Really big wrench.
I see that.
Shifter handle.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we don't have one, so I figured this would do the trick.
Yeah, that's gonna work. Oh, it's comfy too, actually. Jimmy's got a great idea for the handle. We're gonna cut up this huge 1 5/16" wrench and weld it to the handle bracket. Then we'll just put it in the cab and see how it acts. Man, this worked out really, really good, but can you imagine it as a right-hand drive car?
Yeah, I don't really have any coordination with my left hand.
I got plenty on this side. Dump the clutch, ready? 1, 2, 3. Coming up,
Look out, EPA.
because we're transforming the exterior of our Trailblazer SS.
That's right, we're making a carbon hood print.
We've made a ton of improvements on our 2006 Trailblazer SS. From stripping the interior to constructing a roll cage, we lighten the load.
But we've added some weight back into this family-sized powerhouse with some racing seats, a custom center console, a handbrake, and a shifter that suits mine and Jeremy's personalities.
Yeah, and with our interior finished and our powertrain nearly complete, we figured the exterior should get a little tender loving care.
This 14-year-old paint job is in decent shape, and we could polish this truck up to a mirror-like shine, but we have alternative plans for this guy.
Our vehicle is gonna get some special treatment from the guys down the street, making our Trailblazer look like a true drifting vehicle. This process starts with some design ideas, finding out the colors we like and the ones we don't. When we've chosen a design, we'll send it off to the Wrap Lab in Franklin, Tennessee, and let the pros get to work. They prep the vehicle, then they take high-resolution vinyl printouts with adhesive backings, and they carefully apply them to the correct areas on the vehicle. Using special squeegeeing techniques, they eliminate all the bubbles on the wrap. It's a challenging process, and like anything, it takes practice to get really good at it.
That's why we're leaving it up to the professionals to do the job. But while we wait for the exterior of our vehicle to transform, we're gonna work on a little carcass transformation of our own. We're gonna reconstruct the hood of our Trailblazer SS, but we're gonna do it with carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber can be up to 5 times stronger than steel and twice as stiff. But for our application, we aren't concerned about strength. We're concerned about weight savings and the looks department.
To get our hood looking sporty, there's a little prep involved. Carbon fiber is laid down in layers, molding to the shape of the hood. So with a thorough cleaning, we can start the process.
We'll then apply several coats of wax, making sure to gently buff it after each coat. With a good layer of this stuff on, we won't have to worry about the carbon fiber sticking to the hood.
With that out of the way, we can start working with the material. We're pre-cutting 4 sections of carbon fiber cloth to size. We're doing this because this will be a fairly quick process, and having these on standby will prevent headaches down the road.
We're now ready to lay down our first layer. Spreading it out on the hood, we'll use a can of adhesive spray to help hold it in place.
Then we can start mixing the laminating epoxy resin. This is mixed 3-to-1 with a hardener. 2-part epoxies like this have something called a pot life. This means there's only an effective working time before it becomes less workable or useless, and you risk wasting material. The pot life on this epoxy is 1 hour, so we're gonna have to work quickly to get each layer on.
We're using a squeegee to carefully spread the epoxy, covering every square inch of carbon fiber. We'll lay it on thick, getting good coverage, and then we'll go over it one more time to remove the excess.
This is repeated again with the second layer, and again with the third, and once more for our final layer of carbon fiber, letting the epoxy cure overnight. I think we got it, Johnny, on the spot.
I think so.
Good job, man.
Woo. This thing looks amazing, and I can't believe how well it turned out and how easy it was to do. With a grand total of about 2 hours of labor into it, we can't wait to separate it from the steel hood and see the fruits of our labor.
The epoxy has been given ample time to cure, and it's time to crack it loose from the mold.
This is why several coats of wax are essential to this process.
That's awesome. Seeing the underside of the hood, I'm happy to say that our prep work has paid off, but we're not done yet. We need to make the top side of this thing look just as glassy smooth as the bottom side.
This starts with a little scuff sanding. We're using 120 grit to prep for our flow coat.
We're laying on this coat super thick, using modified squeegees to spread, but allowing it to pool. We'll let gravity do the work of leveling it all out.
With our flow coat having ample time to cure, we'll hit it one more time with a DA and a series of sandpaper grits.
Then we'll trim the edges with a cutoff wheel, taking care not to overcut. We were lucky that the underside of the mold left a line to follow which corresponds with the edge of the hood.
The last step to this process is to give our carbon fiber hood some UV protection with a clear coat, and we'll let that dry overnight.
Up next, an exterior transformation you won't want to miss. This is Carcass. Our carbon fiber hood came out pretty good.
And not bad for a couple of guys who have no idea what they're doing.
And it's not a super tough process, but it's one of those things where every step of the way is another opportunity to completely screw it up, and luckily Uncle Murphy stayed home today.
Wait, isn't that the guy that says what can go wrong will go wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, well, our carbon fiber hood looks amazing, and I can't wait to see it paired up with our newly wrapped Trailblazer.
Let's throw it on.
All right. To mount our hood, we need to add a few reinforcements to help hold the hood in place. At the brake, we'll take 2 pieces of 20 gauge steel and bend them lengthwise at 90 degrees.
With those in hand, we'll shrink one side and test fit them to make sure they fit the contour of the hood. Then at the bandsaw, we'll cut one of them down the middle, removing a chunk so that they'll be able to form an X on the hood.
We'll need to trace the metal stiffeners and use those marks to scuff the surface. Then we'll apply some panel bond adhesive and stick our metal reinforcements to the bottom side of the hood.
To finish up this install, we'll drill some holes for a hood pin kit we picked up from Summit Racing, installing the plates that prevent the pins from scratching the hood. Dude, this thing looks way more like a race car now.
You know, it looks just like the original hood, but it's way cooler.
Our design team and the guys at the Wrap Lab really knocked this thing out of the park. And to be honest, I'm kind of speechless.
We've got black body lines meeting orange wrap lines. We've got killer looking side stripes, our signature lightning bolt, and Carcass logo written on the back, and that's paired up with our custom carbon fiber hood. And that gives our Drifting Trailblazer a whole new persona. But our wheels could use some attention. Fortunately, we plan on slapping on some nice new shiny ones. But if we were going to be running our stock wheels, our go-to product would be Sonax's Wheel Cleaner Plus to restore them to their like-new shine.
This stuff can be used on all steel, alloy, chrome, and polished wheels, removing brake dust and those stubborn dirt spots you can never seem to get out. The Wheel Cleaner Plus is a fast-acting, powerful wheel cleaner that has an acid-free formula that's safe to use on clear coats and won't corrode lug nuts. We need to drive this thing.
Well, we can't. We don't have a drive shaft yet, and we haven't even heard this thing run.
Well, let's get cranking on it then.
There's not too much we need to do before we can break in our new engine and transmission. We'll throw in a special order drive shaft we got from our friends at Tom Wood's Custom Drive Shafts, who's always quick on delivery. Then we'll just add some fluids and prep the engine for startup. Yes!
All right.
That's exactly what it was supposed to do.
It sounds good too.
Oh, it sounds mean.
Got a little rumble to it.
I like that. I like that. Dude, that was simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
I mean, it's just a matter of swapping everything that was on the old engine to the new one because it's based on the same platform, so it's easy.
Yeah, this is amazing. Listen to that, like purrs like a kitten.
I can't wait to see how this thing performs.
Oh man, you know what we need to do though? We need to put that killer hood on here and go drive it because I want to know what it's like to drive a Trailblazer with a 6-speed.
Yeah, we did something pretty cool here.
Oh man, it's gonna be so crazy. All right, let's go get the hood. Woo!
Follow along with this build at PowerNationTV.com.
Next time on Carcass, Jimmy and I get a special lesson in drifting from Duralast's pro drifter, Josh Robinson.
Plus, we make some major upgrades to our steering and suspension. Catch us next time on Carcass.